What is up, JG Sports fans? And today we will be doing part two of the NBA standings check-in. Week two of this. We are another week closer to the playoffs, which is coming up in about roughly 3 to 4 weeks. So let's check in on how your teams are doing. Let's talk to you about how many games are left, and let's jump into it. All right, guys. As you can see here, we got the standings pulled up here on the board. The first thing I want to note is that teams have likely been through roughly 70 games, so about 10 to go, which means the playoffs are nearing really close. They're coming up in about 3 weeks. You can see we are at currently 71 games for the Cavs, so about really teams are really about, I'd say, 69 to 72 games roughly. Um, and let's talk about it. The East is less competitive and probably won't be as big of a topic, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about it because the East does kind of suck, but it's going to be quick. Cleveland and Boston have clinched um, playoffs. Okay, Boston's on a hot streak. They're still alive for the one seed. Likely not going to get it. I mean, they have 11 games to go and are back 5 games, which is going to be tough for the Cavs, with the Cavs being one of the best teams in the NBA. Okay. Also, the New York Knicks are pretty good, but they're going to probably be around the 3. Indiana 3 games behind the 3 seed. I guess it's realistic saying that they could get the 3, but probably not. The Bucks really are battling with Indiana for the 4. The 4 through 6, these teams are kind of all fighting for their own spot. They're only between the 4 and 6. It's only 2 games back, and there's 10 to go. So important games coming up for the Pacers, Bucks, and Pistons. Play in. Doesn't really matter here. Atlanta and Orlando are trying to hold their ground on where they're going to sit at. I mean, Orlando does not want to see Cleveland. They saw Cleveland last year, lost in 7 games in the first round. They would lose a lot earlier this year if they play them in the first round. But you can see all these teams in the tournament. Playing tournament's pretty boring. We're just kind of the seeding format. Atlanta and Orlando are probably going to stay ahead of, the pack. Atlanta will probably get the 7. They're probably playing the best out of these teams, but again, they're very mid. Orlando's not great. Chicago's not great. And Miami's not great. There's going to be a not great team in the playoffs this year, and that could be in a boring series for the first round for the Cavs, and they might just absolutely clobber whoever they play. Then behind here, Toronto and Brooklyn are playing for pride. Philly's playing for pride. So is Charlotte and Washington. All right, the West. Now this is where stuff gets important. OKC's locked up the 1 seed. They still want to keep playing well, though. 12 games to go. Houston is at the 2. They just lost to Denver. Denver's at the 3. The Nuggets trying to hold their ground on the 3. They could go up to 2 if they can stay ahead. But for the Nuggets, guys, what I want you to watch out for, I didn't really move down the standings. What I want you to watch out for the Nuggets is their defense is really bad. Really bad. And I am concerned they're not going to go anywhere in these playoffs. I think they could get a first-round series win, but right now it feels like their peak's the second round. And Nuggets fans, I wouldn't get too much hope, because once your offense isn't clicking as much and your defense can't hold up, it's going to be rough. Nuggets fans, you could even lose in the first round. The Lakers are at 4. Embarrassingly lost to the Bulls. Grizzlies are at 5 and Warriors at 6. Warriors have so they're 2.5 games behind the 4 spot. Fighting for that 4 seed. I don't think the Dubs are going to get it. I think they need to definitely fight to get the 5 seed from the Grizzlies, which I think they can get. I wouldn't want to play the Nuggets. I don't think the Warriors are that good. But again, you never know. If their defense can somehow wake up and beat the Nuggets, that would be pretty cool. I would rather play. I don't want to play the Lakers either, but I don't know. But for the Warriors, they should try to get as high as they can. They're 2 games behind the 5, so the 5 seed's not unrealistic for them. With 11 games to go, they're a little banged up, though, so my Warriors chat, they got it, or not chat, but my Warriors people, they got to get healthy. Yeah. The LA Clippers, they've been playing pretty well recently. 5 games win streak. Minnesota's staying hot, but they're very tight with Minnesota and LA. Guys, the first round series it's not going to be a gimme for anybody. Even if the Nuggets have to play the Warriors, it won't be a gimme for them. Maybe the only gimme series would be the Lakers beating the Grizzlies in the first round. Other than that, I think every series will be close. Sacramento, 35-35 in Phoenix. Don't expect these two to do anything. Sacramento's mediocre. The record is mediocre, and they are mediocre. Phoenix is kind of the same, just a little worse than Sacramento. Dallas is, they're hopeless. Portland's playing for pride. I mean, they're a pretty bad team, but they've got a bright future. Look out for this team in the coming years. Spurs, I mean, with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox out, they just don't have a chance, unfortunately. And New Orleans and Utah, they're just atrocious. But yeah, all right, let's talk about where I think these formats are where this is gonna format. So I think what we're gonna see is the Cavs and Celtics get the 1 and 2. I think New York gets the 3. I think Indy gets the 4. Milwaukee gets the 5, and Detroit gets the 6. Atlanta gets the 7. Orlando gets the 8. I think it'll stay the same in the East. The East is so uncompetitive. I don't think things can change, which would mean that Orlando would play Cleveland. If my predictions are correct, Atlanta would play Boston, with Boston having to host the first 2 games of the series. Detroit and New York could be a sneaky good series. And then Milwaukee and Indiana. By the way, we saw those 2 in the first round series. It wasn't too bad. There was a wild game 3 that happened in Indiana last year when Tyrese Halliburton made a go-ahead and one. It was 121-118 final overtime in that game 3. And the Pacers just kind of took the series from there. But yeah. Orlando and Cleveland would be very uncompetitive. So would Atlanta, Boston. Yeah. All right, and then the Western Conference, the first round could be really competitive. I think Minnesota actually is going to get the 7, and the Clippers will get the 8. Not to say the Clippers are bad, but I think they can take the Thunder to maybe a 6-game series as good as OKC is. Like, the Clippers will probably play a couple series that'll be close games. I think that will benefit the Thunder, though, anyway. The Clippers will be competitive, in my eyes. That's how I think this is going to play out. And then I think the 2, I'm going to say the Nuggets get the 2. Might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that's what's going to happen. Houston gets the 3. I think the Lakers get the 4, Grizzlies get the 5. Warriors get the 6 because they're not healthy. I don't know. I don't mind playing a young Houston team. And then the Timberwolves get the 7, Clippers get the 8, which would mean the Clippers, like I said, would play OKC. Minnesota to play Denver. I know Nuggets fans. When I said you can go out in the first round, yeah, that's how you do it. If you play Minnesota, you're not going to be happy. Minnesota kind of owns the Nuggets in the last year or 2. The Warriors to play the Rockets. I would feel confident about that as a Warriors fan because we have the playoff experience over them. I think that could be like a 7-game first-round series, similar to the Warriors-Kings series from 2023. That was a pretty fun series. But the Warriors were, that was a frustrating team because, there was a lot more expectations than just a playoff series win. Going as defending champs, that we were kind of above mediocre that year. Memphis against the Lakers, I'd see the Lakers winning the series, but that would be kind of fun. The Grizzlies just, if you get them in close games, it's going to be tough for Memphis. So, yeah, but anyway, I'm excited for the playoffs. Again, we'll be live on Twitch doing play-by-play in the playoffs come the start of the season, chat, and viewers. So, yeah. But anyway, if I had to grade these seasons, since it's basically complete, I'll recap the season. Utah, New Orleans, disgraceful. You didn't do anything. Utah, you are still bad. New Orleans, you came off a playoff appearance last year. You got swept and you have shit the bed this year. San Antonio, I think you did a little better. Not as good as you hoped for. A little bit tough with the injuries, but you know what? Be confident if you're a Spurs fan. You guys are going to come back next year. Portland, bright future ahead. You got great players. Donovan Cleaning is going to be an absolute masterpiece in the NBA with more experience. Dallas, you got some work to do in the offseason. Anthony Davis might be good, but I don't think he's going to do anything crazy. Kyrie's aging. It's going to be a tough future for the Mavericks. Phoenix for next year. Going to be tough for you guys. Your players are getting older. Durant, Booker, and Grayson Allen. Your defense really doesn't have much talent. You got to draft young players that are talented and go from there. It will take a while. Sacramento, it's a tough future. It's the worst to be stuck in mediocrity, but that's where you're at. Minnesota, they're tough in cap space, but they've done what they could this year. With more cap space, they definitely can make some good moves in free agency in the draft, and they could definitely be really good next year. Minnesota, your season's nowhere close to over. You're playing your best basketball at the right time. You get to play the Denver Nuggets, which is probably music to your ears because you can definitely beat them. You guys could have a sneaky Cinderella playoff run here, maybe to the West Finals. The Clippers, again, your players are aging. Enjoy this final playoff appearance if you get there. I don't want to jinx you. As a Warriors fan, let's make the most of the end of this year. We might get a first round series win, but I don't think we're going to do anything wild, which first round series felt like a pipe dream middle of the season. I can't wait for next year when Steph and Jimmy have a full year together. And we build some young talent around Brandon Pajinski, Gary Payton, Draymond Green. I think the Warriors and Steph Curry still have one more title in them. And you guys may disagree with that take, but I think we get a title in them. Memphis, you're a young team that's gonna grow. Being in the playoffs is good for you guys because eventually you can be where the Thunder are at. Lakers, you have a great coach, JJ Redick. I mean, the fact that he is coaching Jackson Hayes, a player who used to be his teammate, it's really cool. I think the Lakers are doing a good job with their future. Although LeBron's days might be ending, Luka Doncic on your team is going to always keep you a contender. The Nuggets, you guys definitely need to build some defensive talent, but you know what? I don't think you build from a young standpoint. You have great veterans like Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. You definitely might want to think about Jamal Murray. Do you want to move on from him and make that tough decision and maybe get a better player than him since Jamal's had a rough year? Or is it just get Jamal reloaded for next year? And if you're Houston, you've got a great young team. Playoff experience, again, does you a big favor. I think a title run is possible. You guys definitely could have days coming back to your Clint Capella, James Harden, and Chris Paul days. Oklahoma City, you're eyeing nothing but a championship. You may have a dynasty in the future. All right, let's talk about the future of all teams and the season reviewing going into next year. Washington and Charlotte, you guys have work to do. You have some young talent, but being bad and this bad for multiple years is not a good sign. Philadelphia, you've got a tough future. Joel Embiid might not play basketball ever again, unfortunately, which is really heartbreaking to say. And, you know how much talent. You need to build it. It's going to take a while. Sixers fans, you've heard this phrase before, trust the process. Brooklyn, you've got some young talent. I think next year you guys could definitely get to the postseason. So keep your hopes up. Keep building young talent, and the Nets could have a good future. Toronto, same thing. You guys have a young team. Keep building. You might get there sometime. Miami, it's really tough for you guys. You got to rebuild. You don't have a great talent, and it's clearly showing out there. With how you've been playing lately, it's not good. You need offensive talent. And Bam Adebayo's aging, so yeah, rebuild for Miami. Chicago, are we tired of being stuck in mediocrity? Let's build some young players. They need more talent. They need more, especially on the offense. They're just not a great offensive team. Poor shooting. I don't know if they need a new coaching staff, but that's something to think about. Orlando, I think you guys just got to reload. You have the same team last year. KCP's not been the best, but I think you build more young talent. And it's reload next year. The Magic. The Hawks, they've been mediocre for a while. I think they just need to trust their young talent. And a veteran player similar to Jimmy Butler could definitely get this team to be competitive once again. The Hawks are wasting a future. They're wasting a star in Trae Young. They got to do something real fast. Detroit, you have a great future. Kate Cunningham is one of the best point guards in the league, up and coming. You have great talent. Duran's a great young player. He's really aggressive. I love the energy the Pistons play with. They have a great future. They got to keep building it. Milwaukee, I think you need to go from more older veteran players to younger players. Your team's aging, and you guys haven't really done much but make the playoffs and maybe win a playoff series. I mean, you got tired of the first-round exits? Because if I was a Bucks fan, I would. Indiana, you have some great players. Tyrese Halliburton, and other guys like Andrew Nemhard. You got a great veteran in Pascal Siakam. Keep building young talent, and Raptor and Pacer fans. A championship's coming near you. New York, keep building your young players. You have a great team of veterans. The goal for New York is stay healthy the whole year, and if you guys are healthy, maybe you can make a Cinderella title run. You guys are definitely a potential contender. Boston, you have the next Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson dynasty of the NBA. All you're chasing is the championship. Cleveland, you've had a great, successful year. Enjoy Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell. Those are special players. Your goal is to win a championship. All right, guys. So, yeah, that is our check-in on these standings and how I felt about how these team seasons have gone and a brief look at their future in the playoff picture. But, yeah, I will see y'all guys all next week for the next part of the NBA standings, as next week we will be even closer to the playoff push. See you guys in the next one, JG Crew. Peace.